Hello guys, and welcome to day 18 of this full stack hospital management system. So in day 17 of this system, we looked at the admin side of this application and what admin should interact with. So let's go to the admin side here. So let me type admin. So let's go to the admin side of this application. So here we looked at how the admin can be able to register this user to our database or our system, and also we looked at how those users can be fetched from our database, and also we looked at how the user can be deleted by the admin. So in today's video we are going to look at the reception side of this application. So let's go to the reception side of this application. So the first thing that the reception should do is to add the patient here, or to admit a patient to the hospital in our system here. So let's close this, and then the reception should be able to see the patient listed here. Also, the reception should be able to search the patient here using the admission number here, so that if there's somebody who is coming to look after that patient or want to know the room and where that patient is being admitted, they can be able to be helped by the reception, that is. So without much ado, so if you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel, kindly subscribe, and also you can like this video and turn on the notification bell so that you'll be notified the next time I upload the day 19 or other videos, that is. So let's deep dive into our tutorial. So as per now, everything is running. Our database is running here inside our Docker. And also we have our Azure Studio here, where it is our workspace, and I have already selected the hospital database here. And now we can just run and see if there is a patient who have been admitted. Of course, we don't have any patient because I have not added any patient, and this database is empty. Like this table here for the patient is empty. So now let's go back and now start working on this side of the reception. So in our front end here, we can see we have this reception here, or the module for the reception, and you can see here we have the module. So we have registered these components here in our reception module, and this is where we start working. So when you come here, you see the form that the reception should fill in. This one, the one that have name, email, resident area, and room number, admission number, and ID number, and then we have this submit button here. So now this is where we start working on. And if you remember, in Angular we have two forms that you can use. We have template forms and reactive forms. So if you want to know the difference, you can come here in your browser and then search for template forms and reactive forms here. So let's see, and you can learn more about the difference. So here you can see template driven forms are based only on template directives, while reactive forms are defined programmatically at the level of the component class. Reactive forms are better default choice for new applications, so as they are more powerful and easier to use. So I'll just use the reactive forms because here you can see they are better for the new application, and also they are powerful and easier to use. So I will just use the reactive forms, but in our login form, we'll be using the template forms, that is, so that you know how to use both of them. So the first thing that I will do, let's go back to application here, is to create a form here. So what I'll do before this model here, to add the patient or the admission, I create form just like that, and then I copy all the data that is for adding the user or adding the patient, that is, and then I'll put it inside the form here. So let's format our code first of all. So we are formatting our code. Let's see. and let me see if it is changes anything in our application. So let me come here and then let me reload the application and see if it will change how our model look like. So it is still running. I think my computer is low. So here, let me open. You can see there's nothing that has been changed. So let's go in our component now and start working from there, because we need something. So before I forget, then we need to import the module for reactive forms, and also I will be adding also the forms module, because somewhere we'll be using ng model, but to search the patient, that is. So let me come here in a reception module here. So remember, we are not going to import in this app.ts this app.module.ts, because our component is registered in this module here, and it doesn't care about the module that are outside this module here. So that's why we are registering it here, or we are importing the module here. So now let me import reactive forms here, just like that. You can see it has been imported. So another thing that I will import is forms module, just like that, because we'll be able to use ng model for data binding. So let's go back now to our component here. So now what I will do, first of all, we need to import several things, and that is form control, form group, and validators. So let's come here, and then I will import this. Let me first of all specify what I want to import from Angular, and the Angular I want to import from Angular forms. So this is here, and then now we can come here and start specifying what we want to import. So I will import form control as the first thing, and then I will import also form group here, just like that, and then I will import validators. So here we need to have validators, just like that. So we have those, and now we can start working on that. So first of all, I'll just create form property here. So let's create form property. Just after the cross property, let me create form, and I will make it nullable, and then we'll have form group here, just like that, and let's add it there. So now the other thing that I want to do is now to create the instance for this form group, and this will be, I will be doing it here in this ng on it hook. So I'll just say this dot form, and then I will create a new instance of form group so that we can be able to access our form. So I'll just create form group here. So we have this form group here, and then we can specify now things that we want to bind with in our form. So the first thing that I need is the name, because remember, in our forms here, in our HTML, we have this name here, so we can be able to bind with them. So now here, first thing is the name, and I'll just create a new instance for form control, just like that. Form control, and you can see we have auto completion, and then inside here I'll specify that this is the very first value here will be null, and now we can say validators dot required, so that we cannot add this, we can validate the form. So now I just want to add another thing, that is, so we separate with a comma, and then that the second thing is email, and now I'll just say new form control, just like the one above, and then let me add now null here as our first argument, and also here I will just create validators here dot required, and because this is an email, I want to validate the email, so I'll just say validators dot email, and you can see how easy it is to use these reactive forms. So here I will add a comma, so because the other things are almost similar to name, so I'll just copy name, and then I'll be changing the property or this one here. So copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. So this one here will be the resident area or the resident area for the patient. So resident underscore area. Another thing is admission number. This one should be admission number. Oops, I did some mistake here. So let's see. Yeah, it should be admission number. So admission underscore number here, and here down we need to have an ID number. These are the things that we need to have in our forms. So the last one here is, let me copy. So the last one here should be room admitted, or the room that that patient is being admitted. So room admitted, just like that. I think that's okay now. So now the other thing that I will do, let me first of all come here and format this code to remove spaces. So now you can see we have this here. So now we can go to our HTML and create and bind this form here. So let's go here in our HTML. First thing first, we need to use the ng model or ng submit and form group. So inside here in our form, the first thing that we need to do, we need to bind our form group, because this form group will be using it to access the data in our input. So in our form input, so let's bind it to this form. So we are binding by this property here. If you know in Angular, you can bind properties that are HTML related. So the other thing that I want is to bind this event here, ng submit here, ng submit here, just like that. And then we can create a method here that will call on submit, something of the sort, on submit, something like this. So this one I'll be adding it in component, because this one will be handling the saving of the data to our database. So let's go here in our component here down. I'll just create this one here, and that's all. So this one will be helping us now to get the values from form inputs. So in our HTML here, now what we need now to do is to just give the value that we indicated in our component here, like the name, to the name input here in our name form input. So to get the data from now from this form input, we need to include something that is called form control name. This one, form control name, and then we give it the name, and this name here, or this form control name, should be the same as this one that is in this component. Like the name should be the name in lowercase, email should be the email in lowercase. So that's all. So to prevent a lot of hurdles, let me copy this here, and then I'll paste it in our email here, and this one will change now to email. And again, we have the resident area. I'll just copy and paste, and then I'll change it to be resident area here, just like that, resident underscore area. And again, now here I need to paste this, and in here now we can change, and we can give room admitted, just like that, room admitted. And down here you see you have admission number. So what I'll do, I'll just paste it inside here in our input, and here now we can add admission number, admission number, just like that. And here now we have ID number, so I'll just add ID number here. Remember, they must be the same as the one that we have added here in our component in our instance for the form. So let me show you. You can see there must be the same, like ID number should be the same here in ID number here. So everything is okay, but now I need to validate this a bit here, because I don't want values to be this form to somebody to submit if there is no values, or there are no values that, or there are no validation in this form input. So what I'll do to do that, we can bind it by a property that is called disabled here, and now we can bind it and we can give it and say form dot or varied here, and you can see I have added exclamation mark here, because this is to tell this button that it should be disabled if this form are not varied. So I'll just show you an example. But now one thing that I want to do, when you click this submit here button, what it will do, it will just call this method here, and then we can see the form inputs here. So now let's come here, and to get those, or to print those form inputs, so, or form values, so what we'll do, just come here and console log, let's console log, and then this dot form dot values, just like that. I think value, it's okay. And let's see what will happen. So let's go back into our application and see if it is still working. And here you can see we have some problem. So what's this error? This error say can't bind to disable. It is disabled. That is the property that we should bind to, because there is nothing like disable. So it is disabled. Sorry for that, I forgot that. So now let's go back to our component here, and let's open our application here. So you can see the error is gone because we have done everything correctly. So now the other thing that I will do is, now let's open our console here, so that we can see, we will be able to see the inputs. So let's open it. You can see it is not responsive. So I just open here. Let me drag this one here, and so that we can have that space. So now I will just add the first name, and I will call this person Do. I will just say James Do here, and then the email here should be james at gmail.com, something of the sort. Resident area, maybe let's say Texas, and then room admitted, this should be conventional to that hospital, so just like that. And again, admission number should also be conventional to that hospital, that is. So I just say anything random, and then here I just add random numbers, and then let's try and click now this submit. So if you click here, you can see we have these values here, and you can see how they have been gotten and arranged. So now I need to, in order to show you the validation, when we, for example here, we remove this at, this means that this email is not valid. So let me remove it and try to just to submit this information to try and see if we can console log. So if you try to console log here, you can see our button here, it doesn't do anything, and this means that it is disabled. So, and when you add now that the @ sign again, you'll see you can get the data here. So I'm thinking that I know that you're understanding, and here this is why, because the email we are using validators.email, so it is checking if that is a valid email or it has that @ sign at least. So now let me now close this. So the other thing that we need, actually I won't close first of all. So now the other thing that we need to do is to submit this data to our database, or to save that data to our database. So now what we'll do now, first of all, let's inject a service that we created for the patient so that we can add it to the patient, to the database, that is. So let's inject, and to inject we need to start by initializing it here in our constructor. So first thing first, let me add a private variable, or here private, let me close it, private, and then I'll say patient service, just like that, and then I'll say patient service. You can see the auto completion for us here. So now we have added it and it is imported up here. So now the other thing now we need to do is to just come here after everything has been, if you have gotten the data now, the other thing is now to just save it. So what we'll do is just say this dot patient service, and then remember we had methods that we created in our services. So the method that we want right now is to add patient. So call it there. And now what you need is to get all this information. So you can see even it is giving us here the data that we need to include in this here. We need to include here, and this you can see them when you come to our service. Let me look at our services here, and oh no, my computer is just misbehaving. So I'll come here in our service, and in our patient here, you can see this is the method that we are using. And now what we'll need to do is to add this information, name, resident area, and everything. So right now, let me close this service here and then go back here. So now need to include that data in our component. It is in our component here. So we need to include those data, name, email, everything. So inside here now, what we can do is to add now that the information. So I'll just say this dot form dot name, just like that, and then we'll have this dot form dot value dot email. Actually, we have problem here. You should include it. You should access values using this dot form dot value. So again, let me come here and then add this dot form here dot value, and then dot resident area, just like that. And again, this dot form dot value and dot admission number. Again, now we have to have this dot form dot value dot this one was ID number, and the last one will be this dot form dot value and dot room admitted underscore admitted, just like that. And now after that, now we need to subscribe. Remember, this is an observable, and for observable is a stream of data that you need to subscribe in order to get the data. So I just subscribe, and I want to get the values that will be emitted in this observable, and then I will just console log here. So the console log value. And one thing that I want you to notice is that this name here and every value here should be correspondent to these ones here above here, like you can see it here. So let's see. The error is gone. So let our application load. So you can see it has loaded. So it has reloaded. So let's now input our forms here. So let's add the information here. So I'll just say First person is Rensley. We can say Rensley do, just like that. The email, we can say it is Rensley do at gmail.com. Resident area, you can say it is Texas. And room admitted or room number, it can be anything. You can say MVR 003, something of the sort. Admission number can be anything. Maybe let's give it something of the sort. And ID number or security number can be anything. So let's click and see if it can save the data to our database. So if we click here, you can see we have some error, and this error is coming from our server. So if you come here, we see the error, and the error is given us here status of 500, and what is telling us, I can't see what is the error for. So let's see if our backend is running, and yeah, our backend here is running. So I need to restart it. So let me restart the backend again, so that we see where the problem is. So I just go to our backend and see if we have some problem in our backend. So in our backend here, let's check. Let's see here in our backend. So this is our backend, and then in our controllers here, so that we can see if we reach our data to our database. So what I'll do here, I just console log. Let me console log first of all, console.log, and then we can now have this data, or we can print this data here. So first of all, let me cut here, and then paste down here. And now what I want to paste is request.body, just like that, so that we'll see if the data is happening to get here. So let me format this here, this code, first of all. So now let's go back and see if we print our data. So let's try again and see where the problem is. So when we console log, we print it here, you can see we have error, and then let's see if we have printed anything. So I think it is not, our data is not getting to our backend. So let me try again. So okay, let me see now if we have the data. So you can see we don't have that, we are not getting to this route here. So let me just go back and look if we have where the error is coming from. So first of all, because we can't get this route here, I need to just go back in our routes here and just check for our patient here. If we get that post, then we go to create patient, and that's okay. And now we need to look at index here. So it is /patients. So let's look and see if in our service we created that route is okay. So let's go back, and in our service here, what we need to do, also we can console log so that we can see where the error is coming from. So in here, we can see, we can come here, and before we return, what we can do now, we can console log, and we can get some data like name and resident area, so that we know where the error is coming from. So this is part of debugging, and you are getting how I debug code firsthand. So this one here, so now let's see what will happen here. So let me format this code. So let's now save it. So now we'll be able to see what is happening. So let it load, and now we can fill. I'll just fill anything here very fast. Data, anything, admission number anything, and then ID number is anything. So let's see. So if we come here, you can see, I don't know what was happening, but right now you can see a message that is telling us patient has been added successfully. And I don't know what was happening because there's nothing that I have done, and the only thing that I have done is just in our service here to just console log. So sometimes you can come across these problems. So these problems are some of the things that you can come across each and every day, but it's okay because it has worked. So now the other thing that I want us is to check now our database. So let's run our queries, and right now you can see we added this patient here. So this patient has been added, and like for example, after a while you see we just send the email to the patient. So okay, now the other thing that we need to do is, let's go back here and let me save another, or let me admit another patient. So this time I will use like real information. So I just say James, then say James Doe. So I will just use the real email. So you can see one of my emails. So gmail.com, and then resident area, I'll just say Texas, and room admitted, I can say any room. Let me add it like that. Admission number, we can add anything here. So an ID can be anything. So let's submit again. So just like that, we can see patient added successfully, and it is very fast. And this is because we used stop procedure, and you can see why stop procedure are important. So we have added this person here, and let's look for the status. So right now, I don't think we are sending any email. We just come to look that one. So now the other thing that I can do is that, because I want to restrict this person, the reception, to only add one patient at a time, I can now reset these forms when everything has gone through, or everything has worked, or after he or she has registered that patient. So now to do that, inside here, I can say if we have a message, but I don't want to do that. So what I'll do, let me come here. Oh, let me first of all come here in order to validate. What I'll do here, I'll just come and say if we have a value, first of all, what we need to do now, we can do this dot form, and we can reset now. Then let us reset, and to reset is that it will remove every value that is in our input here. It will just reset these forms, and we'll just see. Let it load, and here what I'll do, I'll just create this patient or admit another patient just like that. And again, let's see what will happen. So the resident area, something of the sort, and then room number, I'll just add anything, admission number, then it will be anything here, and ID number here will be anything also. So let's save. So here you can see it has been added, and you can see the forms has been reset. So patient can't add duplicate data or patient, so that we don't have similar patient admitted twice. So let me close this now, because let's now run this query again. So you can see we have James here have been admitted again. So let me close this model. So now the other thing now we need to do is to get this patient listed here. So now we need to fetch that patient. So to do that, first of all, we need to create something here. So we need to create an observable here like we did with the users. So I just create patients just like that, and we'll indicate it is observable like that. And then in here we can say observable, and this observable will have a generic, and now we can get the patient interface here, and it should be array just like that. So that's all, and here we need to include it to be nullable so that we don't get those errors. So now the other thing that we need to do, we create here we need to create like let's say a method that we call get patients, or I can even say get all patients just like that. And in here what I will do, just create this one here, and I'll say this dot patients here as observable. And then remember we have now the service for the patient. We don't have now to inject it again, so we have this patient service, and then we say get all patients. We call that one here, and remember it will return us a observable that has patient array. So that's what we are doing there. And now inside our ng on it here, we need now to call this method. So we just say this dot get all patients just like that now, and now that will be okay now. So now we need to use that data that is coming from our database and loop through it and now paste it here. So I just remove this data that we had coded here. So remove until here, I think, until here now. I think here is okay. Or let me, yeah, until there. So now we need to include here. First of all, let me see if our application is still working so that we don't break our code here, and then we don't know. So let's go now. We just take now from our HTML side, and now we can see what we will get. So if you have gone through the other video, you saw what we did. First of all, we get the observable, and then we use a sync pipe to cast it to an array of patients. That's what we'll be doing. So let's create a first div here. So I call this first div, and this div here, what it will do, we just be just checking if we have a patients from our database. So we just say ng if, and then ng if what we can do with this directive is to check now. It is a conditional directive, and now we can say patients observable, and then we can use a sync pipe. To use a sync pipe, you add that symbol for the pipe, and then we can say as patients. So now this one will just cast from patients observable, and it will subscribe and give us an array of patients. So now inside here, now we need to check again. Just say div, and this div inside here now, what we do, we check for if there is patients in that. We just check if there is patient in that array. So just like that, and now this is simple. Just say if this patients dot length, because remember it's an array, just like that. And now we need to copy this information here, all this information until there now, and then cut it and then paste inside here. If you are getting lost, remember I'll be adding this code in GitHub, and then I'll include the link in this description of this video. So let me format first of all. So if you format, now what we'll do for like right now we just not get the data from our collection here. Remember we are using this data here. This in our component, we had this an array that we are calling collection here, so that now I can just remove it just like that, and then in here now we can get from patients now, just like that, patients, and then we can give here per page I want to have 5 patients, and again now this is okay. So now let's see if our application is working. So let it load, because it has not loaded. So let's let it load. So it is loading. It is kind of slow, but bear with me. So you can see we have these 3 patients here that have been gotten from our database. So now what I need to do, I'll just now specify the information here. So first thing first, you need to specify, and now we can do text interpolation. So the first thing we do is to get item.name here. So because we are using this, and here we can call it even a patient to make more sense. So because we are looking through patient, and every patient we can now specify the name, so patient name, and let's do another text interpolation here, and then we can say patient dot resident area, just like that. And we can say now the other thing is, let's add this, and the other thing is patient dot room underscore admitted, just like that. This one will be here. Let's add it here, and this time we'll say patient and dot, let's say ID number underscore ID number, just like that. And I think now here, don't know if I've done it correctly. Okay, yeah, let's see here. I just say no, this one is admission number. Yeah, so admission number, and inside here let's do another text interpolation. You just say patient dot ID underscore number, just like that. I think that's okay. And even here we can add the status, so we can do patient dot status, just like that. So let us save and see what will be printed now. I think this will be okay now. So you can see it may happen when the tag has already been crossed. So there's somewhere we missed something. So let me maybe remove one here, remove one div. I think that's what is the problem. So let it load, expected tag, but it never happened. So I don't know where the error is. So what I can do is just go back where we were, so that you can see. Let me first of all see if it will work here, because you can see here we have some problem. So what I can do here, let me add another div, and this one I think will help us. Oh no, that's not what I wanted. So I just add div here, just like that, and then let's save. So let's see now if it will work. So expected, so it is giving us error, a lot of error. Don't know what is happening. So let's go back from where we were, and then we see we were here. So let's add item. It was item, let's say item, just like that. So because when we were at this point, the application was working correctly. So let's see if it will give us error. Right now it's okay. So there's somewhere that is not okay. So this dot item name, okay, it's okay. I'll just use item, but you can use even the patient. So now this one is the resident area. resident area, and we can come here and add another one here, and we can say item dot room admitted, and okay, this is dot here, room admitted, and here now, and we can add item dot admission number. This is another here, admission underscore number, just like that. This one should be item dot id underscore number here, and the last one here, let us interpolate, and it will be item dot status, just like that. I think that's now okay. So let's see what will be printed. So let it load. Yes, and you can see here we have this information here. So you can see it is not correct. I don't know where the problem is right now, and let's see if here is where we did some mistake. So yeah, you can see here, this is where we did mistake, but it's okay, we will just correct it in future. So because you see in the resident area we have the email, and then the email is where now we have in our email here we have this as name, and then I don't know the admission number. It's not working correctly. So right now here I just add like ID number or admission number, just like that. So let us save, and then we can see what will be happening. So yeah, so you can see it is working like that. So now the other thing that I will need to do, I just want us to search using this here, this search input here. So to do that, I just want us to use pipes. So you can come here and type or search for the pipes in Angular and see what they do. So pipes are used to transform data from one form to another. So here we have pipes. Pipes are simple function to use in template expression to accept an input value and return a transformed value. For in our case, we'll accept an array of patients, and then we'll transform by looking at certain patients with certain admission number, and then return that value. That's what our intention are, and this is one of the best Angular concept, because remember, we don't have to go to our database to search our database. We don't have to make requests every time we want to search. We can use pipes, which are very simple. So what I'll do, let's come here, and in our front end here, I need to let me say ng sub or ng generate pipe, and we'll have pipes, and I'll just say search for this pipe here. And this time what I'll do, I'll just copy the data, the code, and then I'll explain to you what is happening. So in our search pipe, so let it generate. I think should be generating, or it should have generated. So let's see what will happen. So because this is a very simple thing to do, and let's see, it should have generated. So it's taking a lot of time. So let's see in our code here. Let me first of all close this now for a while, and okay, let me close this one here, so that we see if this one now will have generated. So it is taking a lot of time. I don't know why. I think it's because my computer is it's working very hard. So let me see. Yeah, now we have these pipes. So now inside here, I just remove everything, because I have my own code that I have built, and I want to do this in order to save some time. So this one here, you can see it will create for you a method. Let me first of all go back. You can see when you create it by default using that pipe pipe terminal command, it will just generate this form here. And this is where you just need to give it the value, and then you write code here and then return the value that you want. So let me go back. So let me paste my code now. You can see what I have done. I've given the patient, I will be giving it a patient array, and then I will have this filter text that I will be using, and this filter text will be admission number, because I want to search by that admission number, that is a string. And I will say if value, remember value is this array of patient, if value is not is equals to length of 0, or we have filter text is empty, then it will return the value. That value is the patient array, that is. And here we'll say again, if now we get this const filtered here as an array of patient, we create that array again, and then we loop through and say let item of value, that is patient, in for every looping. So, and I say item dot admission number dot lowercase I lowercase everything, and index of index in the index of filtered text here dot this lowercase. Then I'll just check if it is not -1. -1 means that it is not in that array. Then we need to push that item here. We need to push that patient in this filtered array here. And now after that, we can return that that patient here that have been added, or that patient that have been added to this array here that has filtered information. So that's what this happened. That's what that does. And you can go back and look at this here in my code. So let me now go back to our reception here. And the other thing that I'll need to do is to create, a data binding, and I'll do that in this here, in our search here. So to create that, we need to use that two-way binding, and to use two-way binding, we can use ng model here. And this one is happening because, or it is working because, remember we added forms module here in this here, this form module. This one will help us to give us this, or will be able to give us this ng model here, or we can be able to use this because we included that module. So now another thing is that we need to create a variable that will bind it to. So in here I'll just say in our component here, I'll just create that property and say search text here. Search text, first of all here, this one, actually I need to give it search text here, and I will give this empty text here, and I can just say it's a string, although it is not that important. And then I want to bind by this. You can look at Angular two-way binding using ng model, because you can use that. So let me copy this now. And now the other thing that I want to do is, let's come here, and now we can bind it by that value here. So now let's first of all see if our code is working. So everything that we'll type inside here, what we type here now will be bounded by this value here in our component, that is search text here. So now let's go back here. Let's go back or in our application here and see if it is still working. And our application is still working, so we don't have any problem. So now the other thing that we need, because we have already bounded by this search text, now we need to just first of all register the pipe that we want in our declaration. So this is because remember we are in reception module, so we need to register that pipe in that module. So our module is here. So inside here now we need to get that search pipe. So search pipe or pipes, they are not included in this imports here. They are included in declaration here. So what we'll do, we just include search pipe. Yeah, search pipe, you can see auto completion. We can import it just like that. So here we need to have a comma here, and now we can start using it in our here in our HTML here. So to use now that pipe, what we need to do inside here, when we are looping, we need now to call that pipe and give it the value that we are getting from our search pipe, that is. So let's go here in where we are looping, and here this one here after paginate here, remember this is also a pipe. Here you can see a pipe that is called paginate, and that's one we are using. It is from the ngx paginate. So now we can come here and include now our custom pipe and say search. It is called search, and now we can give it a text of search pipe, search text, that is, not search pipe. So just like that, so we can give it that text that will be gotten from adding or just typing in our input here. So let's see, let me show you how we are using this search here as a pipe, how we know that we call this pipe search. And this is coming from, because remember when we were building this pipe, we included this name as search here, you can see. And when you come to the pipe here, you can see it is called search. That's why we are accessing it with this name search, and we can include it search and then giving the value that is here. And we are using two-way binding, meaning that we can even type, we can get this value here. So we can do, in order to show you what we can do, we can create here a span so that you show what we can see what two-way binding is if you are not very familiar with Angular. So inside here we can create that, and then you can add such text just like that. Let me save and see now how our application is. So right now let us try and start typing. So if you type here, you can see we have this data that is being typed here just like that. So now let's try and see the admission number. You can see actually we are typing it and it is being printed here. So let's try and maybe get this admission number. So you can see it is not working, and I don't know why it is not working. So let me go back and see why it is not working. So why is it not working? So let's see here. So first of all, maybe let's see here why is not working. Okay, so it is search text here and it is ng model. So, and again here you are piping it. Oh, it should not be inside here actually, and it should be after this one here. Okay, so it should be here now. So let me first of all format, or let me add it here. So it should not be inside this because this is another pipe. So it should be after, immediately after that there is paginate pipe here. So let's save, and now I think it will work. So let's see. So now if we try to type, you can see we have, it is searching for the patient. So let's see a patient who has let me copy here admission number, this one DVFV. So let me type here dv and dv, you can see we can get that patient with that admission number. And again, let's check for another patient here with this MVR admission. So if you include MVR here, it doesn't even care. It is lowercase insensitive. So even if you type with capital or small, it will just check. So that's what that does, and that's how the pipes work. So we have now finished with the reception side, and if you want to expound on that side of reception, feel free to do that. And if you stuck somewhere, you can contact me. My email is on this about section in this channel. So now let's remove this here. So now that's all that I wanted to do there. So let me format. And now I think that our video is getting longer and our tutorial is getting longer. So we just check on how we can correct on this, where we are just, the data is not being registered correctly to a database. We are registering like email on the location column and everything. We just look at that in another video. So for now, because we have already done, we have already looked at adding the patient or admitting the patient. We have listed this patient here, and also we have looked at searching them through this search box here, search input here. So now I think that's okay. That's we have learned. That's the things that we have learned today. So let's see you in another video where I will be looking at the doctor side, and then we look at the patient and then logging in of this application so that we'll be redirected to the correct route. Or if your patient will be redirected to patient side, if your reception will be redirected to reception side. So let me end my tutorial there. If you haven't subscribed, kindly to remember to subscribe and like this video. Comment if you have learned anything or any suggestion. So have a great day. See you in the next video.